Welcome back, everybody. This is Latin's Fight Picks. Today we'll do the recap for Dariush versus Tsarukyan that happened last Saturday. So let's start. We'll just do it like usual. We'll go from the most confident to the least confident on the board. We'll talk about the fights. We'll talk about what went right. We'll talk about what went wrong. First fight, the biggest favorite of the card, Bellato versus Pateria. And I've marked it Parlay Buster, don't bet on that fight. And there was a reason for that. If you watch the fight, Pateria almost had won that fight in the second round. The ref was so close to stopping it multiple times, but Bellato, because he's so tough, he kept moving, even though he kept going out and then kept moving. And the ref did not stop it, and Pateria just got tired of beating on him. And then he turned it around. Pateria got tired. Bellato went on top, and then he ended up taking Pateria out in that very same round. It was a nail biter. Anyways, I had made a bet on Bellato finishing the fight. Anyways, so it worked out. But yeah, it was one of those fights where I wouldn't have put in my parlay for sure. The odds were too great. Definitely a parlay buster, but it was almost a parlay buster. It did not quite make it, which is fine. But that was a warning, because this fight could have definitely ended with Bellato losing. But nevertheless, that was correct. We had assumed that Bellato should win. Moving on, Soriano, loser. I had made a comment is when I first looked at this fight, I had actually picked Stoltzfus just because I always have been disappointed in Soriano. And only after my research, I switched it. And I said, you know what, Soriano should win this. If anything, they're setting them up to win this. And of course, Soriano did not. And my first assumption was right. He's a loser. And he's not, he's always finds a way to lose. And Stoltzfus, to his credit, he is a tough guy. He's always in the fight. He can take a lot of punishment. He's slow, methodical, and prodding. But Soriano, didn't have any combinations. Just kept throwing one left hook, trying to get him out of there. And it didn't work for him. And when he got taken to the ground, Stoltzfus, being good on the ground, pretty competent, ended up choking Soriano. I think Soriano eventually just gave up anyway. Just he kind of got broken. He couldn't get him out of there, couldn't get the knockout, and just, I don't know, just got worn out. Nevertheless, there was a whole series of losers here, and and they're the most confident ones. And this one, I should have went with my gut instinct on that one. But nevertheless, after evaluating it, I thought, you know what? Stoltzfus is just so slow, so plodding. This guy's got to be able to catch him. But nevertheless, he found a way to lose. Moving on, Turman. Turman was winning this fight, won the first round, almost had Gooden out. Didn't really chase the knockout, which was a smart thing. But eventually, then he got caught too, and then unfortunately, he made some bad mistakes. When he was dazed, he kept going after him and tried to take him down, got mounted, and and again, always questioning his black belt in BJJ. He got choked out by Gooden. Just a lot of things don't make sense with Turman as far as his ground game. He's nowhere near as good, and now he's a striker, but he can take a punch, but not a great punch. And yeah, he ended up getting knocked out, and I really thought that whole fight was actually kind of set up for Turman to win, and Turman was winning that fight. Apart from him getting, that left hook where it kind of dazed him and turned things around, he was winning the fight, and he should have won the fight. I think the UFC wanted him to win the fight, but he found a way to lose. So there you go. He's going to be a hard guy to bet on, because he's capable and he's getting better, but he takes a pretty good shot, and then one of those times he doesn't, and you just don't know when that time's going to hit. And that time hit, and Gooden won. This is going to be a great betting opportunity against Gooden and to fade him in the next fight, because Gooden is strong, he's tough, he's durable, but a little on the slow side, and a competent striker or anyone that's competent will be able to outpoint Gooden. So nevertheless, loser number 2. So moving on to Gastelum. Oh man, like I said, especially these two, they were in. I had a parlay that was actually going on from the last fight, extending into this fight, because I was so sure Turman would win this fight and Gastelum would win this fight. And Gastelum was the underdog. And here's the thing is, man, I mean, I can't believe how bad Gastelum looked. He looked small. He just moved down from middleweight. You thought he didn't look less fat. He looked small. Like, so he didn't look like he lost fat and leaned down. It just looked like he lost muscle mass. And he was absolutely bullied by Brady. Like, it seemed like once Brady would touch him, grab his leg or touch his body, he would just put him on the ground. It was effortless. Every single time, I don't think he even, I don't know if he stopped one takedown. I think he got up twice, but then of course he didn't get up after the second shot. But the fact is that he looked bad. He looked tentative on the feet. He couldn't push Brady, and when Brady exploded towards him, the moment Brady touched him, it wasn't like this super great double leg takedown. It was just Brady having one hand on his leg and one hand on his body and basically throwing him on the ground. It just looked terrible. Like, it almost looked like Gastelum was participating in helping him getting put on the ground. It looked so effortless. It was almost like a WWE episode when the guy, throws somebody and the guy actually jumps and helps him get thrown. That's what it looked like. It was ridiculous. And Gastelum got dominated. It wasn't even close. I don't know. He looked terrible. The defense sucked. No strength whatsoever. No strength whatsoever. I don't know. Whatever he did, he messed up big time. Anyways, I don't think Brady's that good. And Bilal proved it. Bilal Muhammad proved it when he just knocked the hell out of him. Like, Gastelum should have done and have been able to do exactly the same thing. Anyways, big disappointment on that one. Definitely, he was a high probability pick. I thought being an underdog, what a great pick. And yeah, well, I can hardly wait to fade Brady, because I don't think Brady is as good as, or was as good in this fight as Gastelum was bad, because he was terrible. Like I said, Brady touched him, the guy fell on the ground. On cue. Like I said, it looked like a WWE episode. Nevertheless, moving on. Let's talk about all the good stuff that happened. Figueiredo, again, underdog was a good pick. We thought, I guess the royal we, I thought that, Figueiredo's going to still pick his moments, have the more powerful impact, more powerful shots, and he was able to take down Font. He's very calculative. He stayed on the outside. He didn't stay within jabbing range, or, he stayed within kicking range. He got a few kicks in. He would just back off whenever it would get heated, reset, and then, he was the faster striker. He would get his strikes off, and he definitely had the more impactful strikes, and he got Font on the ground. He controlled him on the ground. It was a fairly good look for Figueiredo. It was a good fight. Won all the rounds. Moving on, Silva versus Guida. Again, parlay buster. And the reason why I said that is because Guida could keep grinding and possibly outpoint this guy. And you know what? After the first round, it was close. Silva did win it. Guida won the second round. And it's like, well, it was a flip on the third round. I mean, Guida does shine in the third round. But to Silva's credit, he, had enough stamina to push through the third round and win the third round. I mean, he was a good favorite. He was a confident pick, but the parlay buster warning was there because there was definitely a path to victory for Guida, and he did almost pay after the second round. I mean, it looked like he was possibly going to be upset or upsetting Silva. Nevertheless, good fight for Silva. He's going to get a much higher ranking, taking over Guida's ranking probably in the rankings. So it was good. Moving on, close. Mid to high degree of confidence, dominated the fight, as expected. Like I said, the close is going to find a way to win, and Selecki was going to find a way to lose. So it was first round knockout by a slam. Close, was never in danger. He was taken down. He ended up reversing the position. He ended up, almost getting armbarred. He's got great defense as far as like submissions and stuff. And Selecki, got slammed and got knocked out. Good fight for close. He showed that he's not washed up. He's back after a long layoff. He looked good. And Selecki figured out another way to lose. So, nevertheless, there you go. It was a good pick. Moving on. Horth, split decision. And this is what I said is you're gonna have what's her name? Veronica Hardy start off. She's gonna be faster. She's gonna be more explosive, and the bigger girl's gonna wear on her as the time goes on. Now, I expected the transition to happen in the second round, and it happened like that. First round went to Hardy. She was faster, landed more effective strikes. Horth did not put enough pressure on her to really tire her out as much as she should have. In the second round, first half was Hardy, and Horth took over in the second half of the round. And Horth would have very well won it. And on one of the judges, she won the second round. Two of the judges, she did not win. And it all probably had to do with 10 seconds before the end of the fight, when Hardy was on the ground, she had a really good up kick that landed flush on Horth, and it stung her for a quick second. But I really think in such a close round where the first half was Hardy's and the second half was Horth's, I think that's swayed the two of the judges to give it. It was that simple. It was that close. And of course, by the third round, Horth had started putting a lot of pressure on. She was wearing on Hardy, and she won the third round. And it was kind of how I expected it to play out, and a split decision. I mean, Horth just probably would have won it without that up kick if she was a little more careful. Probably would have won it if she put a little more pressure on her in the first round and swung that second round before the halfway mark. All that. But nevertheless, it was a good pick. It was a good fight. It was kind of the way I expected it to play out, but the split decision went against us. Apart from that, in this middle area, everything was right. These ones were the sheer disasters. But nevertheless, moving on. Turner versus Green. Possible parlay buster, but we never even got that close. Turner KO'd Green. And again, I mean, mid to mid-low confidence on this one just because of the short notice fight. But realistically, for me, I think Green, there was a lot of recency bias with how badly he beat the last fight in the first round when he KO'd him. But I still think Green's talented, but he is getting a little older. Turner is younger, longer, got a lot of talent. I think there was a lot of recency bias with the pro-Green side. And I just, as much as I thought he had a path to victory, I just wasn't sold on it. So anyways, Turner did win decisively, KO'd him. It was decisive, so he's moving on. He's gonna be in the top 10 because I think Green was in the top 10, so I think Turner's going to take his spot, which is good. Moving on, this fight was canceled. Moving on to Tate Avila. I thought it was going to be a close fight. You got a striker versus an aging grappler, one of the originals for the women's division. So Tate dominated this fight. She's back at 135. She looked a lot stronger. She, went to her strong point, which was a ground game. She wasn't messing on the feet. She took Avila down, and Avila could not get up in all three rounds. It was a dominating performance on Tate. We picked Tate. It was hard to say how these girls were going to look with such a long layoff, over a year, over 2 years. It was in the low confidence scale because of that. But Tate looked really good. We picked her. She won. She was an underdog. It was a good payout. Moving on. Brundage, low confidence pick. And this is one of the bets I had. I think I in the first podcast when we assessed this, we had said it was going to be a first round TKO, and that's how it was going to end, and that's how it ended. This one, I had picked it as a second round TKO, and that's coincidentally that's how it ended just because I know Bellato is actually fairly measured in the first round, and then kind of really puts it on everybody in the second round. But anyways, back to Brundage. You know, Reese should win this fight. Brundage, recency bias. Brundage has not performed very well mentally, but he has been working on it. I gave him the benefit of the doubt because I thought this guy still has got some power. He's a good wrestler. He's at some point he's going to turn it around. Reese, huge unknown, and I mean, it's going to end in the first round, and I actually had a bet of it ending in the first round, but my gut feeling was telling me Brundage is going to pull this off, and I said even though the intangibles were going to Reese, recency bias, I said I just had this feeling. So and sure enough, that's what happened again. I want another power slam on the ground, KO Brundage first round. Yeah, it's nice to get it right, especially at a plus 190. That was the biggest underdog for me. Second biggest underdog pick was Tate at plus 125. And who else was an underdog that won? Well, he didn't win. Actually, 120. Yeah, Figueiredo, 120. So, you know, we had picked three underdogs, which is a high degree of underdogs when you think about it. So, anyways, the next underdog I was picking was Dariush. I thought he had a path to victory just because of how he fought against Gamrot. But Tsarukyan, you know, great KO. I'm just wondering if Dariush is kind of done as far as his chin. He's been KO'd, you know, this time and last time. He is getting up there in age. And as much as he's talented, you know, he does take a lot of shots, and I think maybe his chin is slipping. And Tsarukyan looked really dominant. It was a quick knockout in the first round. I don't know if that's a fair reflection on Dariush's ability and Tsarukyan's ability, but it was a great KO, perfect timing. You know, knee came up, Dariush was defending, and the knee came short, and Tsarukyan had fast hands and caught him with the right, you know, while on one leg. It was a really good knockout, but you know, I'm going to be careful not to how much credit I'm going to give to him and how much discredit I'm going to give to him. I'm questioning his chin, but I think this kind of KO, it's very opportunistic. Yes, he timed it perfectly. Yes, he was fast, but and he looked super dominating. He's going to have a really high level fight soon. But for me, it was very opportunistic type of knockout. So, and it happened so fast. It's hard to tell. I mean, but nevertheless, I was leaning towards Dariush. He was a big underdog, but Tsarukyan won. But in most of my parlays, if I have these guys, I have a mirror image of one on each side. With the main event, I always bet on both sides, just because of past experiences. Nevertheless, overall, I mean, it was good. We hit a lot of underdogs, so betting on it individually was definitely profitable. The parlays got busted for me most of the time just because my main three guys lost. So even longer parlays where this guy and this guy was in separately. I mean, one of them had to win, but yeah, they all just got blown out. This guy, okay, I made a mistake by switching it, but these two guys, yeah, they were high confidence picks, and I really think, honestly, that they were almost set up to win. Like, the UFC wants these guys to win, I think. These guys were the guys, everything was pointing in that direction, right? This one, of course, split decision, kind of expected like that. I should have actually had this probably closer to the bottom end here, somewhere in this area here. But nevertheless, one right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Doesn't look that good. This one we can't really count because we go both ways. So 7 out of 12, correct. Oh, I thought it was better, but actually the count is bad because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 wrong out of 12, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 4 out of 12 wrong, you know, 7 out of 12 right, and this one, of course, we had it both ways. Nevertheless, but the amount of underdogs that we hit was the good part, which is plus 125, plus 190, plus 120. So that part worked out, but the overall count, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. I just, now that I'm doing the math. Nevertheless, it was a tough card, but it was profitable if you bet it right, if you bet it the right way. Yeah, so there we go. So I will try to get out this video. Somebody commented that this video for this came out late, and it did come out late. It came out on the Friday. I'm going to try and get this next video for December 9th out either tomorrow or Thursday, but no later than Thursday. I'm definitely going to try to get it out tomorrow. I want to get it out Wednesday, more eyes on it. It looks better for the algorithm, and hopefully we'll get people, some help with the betting well before Friday. So nevertheless, thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed before so you get notifications when the video does come out. Please leave a comment. Let me know how you did. Let me know if this helped. Otherwise, I will see you in the next couple of days for December 9th, fight night. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.